Hello everyone, this time I'm going to do something slightly different. For this video I will be trying to play devil's advocate for one of those typical nonsense concept videos you might see on some less trustworthy news pages or such. So recently there's been a video going around about a concept named the LG Uplus. It's supposedly a drone phone, a smartphone that can fly around like a drone and follow you around. The concept video has been slightly edited and republished by quite a few news pages and technology focused Facebook pages and has led to quite a bit of outrage among pretty much anyone with a half decent science education, because the concept is, well, pretty much completely stupid. It's just a simple 3D animation, probably made by someone who has no idea how a drone or a quadricopter or a fan or basic flight work, and it's been shared quite a lot, and we're all sick of seeing these kinds of misinformation videos spread, and the news sites that share these without giving any thought about the validity of this video are contributing to a lot of misinformation, and then consequently also diminishing the trustworthiness of concepts that do actually work. It's a pretty complex topic, but I'll agree that this concept is most likely never gonna make it past this animation phase, and that these kinds of videos are annoying and a problem. But other people have said everything important to say about these kinds of nonsensical videos, and it's not really that interesting to make a completely predictable, boring rant. So I thought, let's make something more interesting, and just for fun, try to see what you would have to change about this nonsensical concept so that it would hypothetically work. And it turns out, depending on how you design it, although inefficiently, if you design it mostly for looks, then it would be possible to get it to work with some quite important but not that visible changes that might actually just be left out in an early concept animation. So although I find it unlikely, there might actually be something to this concept. So what's the main flaw of this animation? There's two big problems. First one, the fans are just pushing air against the back of the screen. They're just pushing air into one pocket. There's no airflow, there's no actual lift being produced. There's no channel for the air to keep moving. The fan just blows air against one surface. And the second problem is, of course, that with two basic fans and no further control surfaces, you don't have the necessary amount of control access to keep any hovering aircraft under control. Now, the common drones we see with four small rotors work because they can individually speed up and slow down these rotors to thus control the torques working on the drone and then control the drone. Additionally, we see the phone hover on its side, so that the fans, even if there was a hole in the screen, would only produce a sidewards force and not actually be able to keep the phone up. It looks as though the video was made by someone in design who knows how to make things look good in 3D animation, but has absolutely no basic idea of how flight works, and apparently seems to believe that sticking a fan to some surface automatically turns anything into a magic hovering machine, according to which, of course, my computer should also be able to fly around because it also has two fans stuck on its side to cool it down. But actually there might be more to it. Now, the most obvious design to get a phone to fly would of course to extend the rotors outwards, giving it the looks of a classic multi-rotor or quad-rotor that we know as the average drone. And given how lightweight phones are getting nowadays, and that they're mostly battery weight and you need a battery for flying anyways, that is a plausible concept. You might then add a tilt or rotation to these rotors so that you can better control your movement and hover on the side or upside down. But then of course actual sensible designs don't really sell to average people. So how could one make a workable design that actually looks a bit like the one in the video? Well, you could redirect the airflow through any number of vents or slits or tubes. This is a workable concept. There have been a fair share of actual large retail planes that use tubing and vents to redirect air from one engine to several nozzles, which can then contract and expand and tilt to provide control. Actually, on the very first glance, the heavier retail might actually look just as implausible as this Dronephone video. It has an air inlet, and if you look at the exact other side of the plane, at the tail, there's not really a nozzle. Instead, there are four nozzles on the side of the airplane that are connected to the engine and that can tilt to provide the VTOL capability. Also, if you look at trijets, airplanes with three jet engines, one mounted vertically above the tail, half of these designs have a curved tubing air inlet to let air into the engine through two curves. And the idea here is pretty obvious. You use the two fans on the backside of the phone to suck in air, and then you redirect it through smaller slits. And again, phones nowadays can be really lightweight, so you don't actually need that much lifting surface necessarily, so you might get away with rather small tubes and slits, though of course the more lifting surface you have, the more efficient a VTOL becomes, and apparently battery life is supposed to be an important factor in smartphone design, or so I've heard. And with the really small slits that you might overlook, you just get so little lifting surface because you have such a narrow space to squeeze air through that in order to create enough lift, you would have to move that air very fast, which means you need to expend a lot of energy relative to the force you're producing, so you would probably not get much more than 5 minutes of flight time out of this. However, if you make those slits thicker and make the phone lighter, you might actually get quite a bit of flight time, and it doesn't have to be flying around all the time. And you could actually even perform stunts like flying on the side or on the narrow side of the phone, or upside down by directing air into the corresponding slits, and control by narrowing or widening slits with small motors so that more air or less air can pass out of certain sides of the phone, thus creating a torque or force moving the phone slightly to one part or turning the phone around. So while I still think that the product video is most likely just plain stupid, it might actually have something to it, and at least it's fun playing devil's advocate for something like this, or actually running the numbers and maybe coming up with a concept that might actually work. Although this is just for fun, and I still think it's unlikely that this will ever actually work, and I'm not actually defending or attacking the company behind it. At least the very basic idea may be somewhat plausible, although there's still the major problem of the actual controlling. You're not remote controlling the thing, and it somehow has to navigate itself. And while AI systems are getting more and more advanced, I don't think we're far enough for a flying drone to completely autonomously navigate through all everyday life situations. These are a lot more complicated than just automated driving, where you're just in one situation. Everyday life situations can hold a lot of unexpected events that might make an AI navigation or autopiloting system struggle. But then that depends on how exactly it would be used, and it would probably be capable of just following you around. Which just leaves one little issue. This thing is not getting anywhere near 100 kilometers an hour in realistic physics. Anyway, I hope you found this little excursus into defending nonsensical concept videos kind of fun. I'm always open to new ideas and questions, and as always, thanks for watching.